However, you got to get it done, ladies and gentlemen. You got to get it done. If it is to be, it's up to me. It's the entrepreneur mindset. If it is to be, it's up to me. If anybody's going to make it happen, we got to make it happen. If anybody's going to do it, it's got to be us. It's got to be us. It's got to be you. No one's coming to save you. So we have to be in the proper mindset to be able to get to our goals, get to our dreams, to do all the things that we want to be able to do in this life. It's important. It's important. You picked up a couple things there from ET. I'll drop the video in the chat real quick so you guys have it. But a couple things, right? Greatness. We talk about greatness. Doesn't anybody want to be great anymore? Don't you know that there's greatness inside of you? But do we know what it takes to pull that greatness out? Do we understand what it takes in order for us to achieve that greatness that is already inside of us? It's a lot of the self-talk. It's a lot of the routines, the daily grind, so to speak. A lot of the things that we talk about on these calls are what it takes in order to get to the world-class level or to become great. But are you in search of that? Are you in search of of wanting to be great in some area? Hopefully. He talked about those I ams, right? He was saying I am, but really that's the power of self-talk, the power of your belief. Again, bring all these conversations back to my daughter, right? We have affirmations. She's got them hanging up on the wall, right? I am smart. I am brave. I am courageous. There's 10 of them or whatever, and she reads them every day, giving her the ability to jumpstart herself, her mindset in a place of knowing who she is, repeating that to ourselves over and over again. Many people get to a stage in life where they say that's, how they were in the past is who they are now. That fixed mindset, not believing that growth is possible, that your mindset can grow, that you can become different, right? But these are the things that we have to start to adapt. These are the things that we have to pay attention to. ET in there talked to something about, again, be careful hanging around average people, constantly telling you what they can't do. There's a good old saying, you've probably heard me say it before, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, either way, you're right. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, either way, you're right. So it probably makes sense just to believe that you can, just to believe that it is possible, just believe that you can do it. Because if at some point in your mind, at some point, someone around you gave you a limiting belief that says you can't do something, or something's not possible for you, or something's not possible at your age, or because you're black, or because you're a woman, or whatever. Like if someone's giving you that limiting belief, we have to check that, and we have to find out how to unlearn and relearn that bit of programming, because you can do anything. Right? You can do anything. Average people that are right around that might not be going after their goals and dreams and may not be overly creative or building something, might be the ones that say, that's not possible, or you can't do that, or this doesn't work. That's not our belief. Your belief has got to be, it is to be, it's up to me. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, either way, you're right. So this is the time to start believing that you can. In the text, 177 mental toughness secrets of the world class, this one stood out to me. I don't know that we've talked about it as much, but again, it goes into that part of who wants to be great and what are you going to be great at? Like, what are you pursuing? And knowing that very good, right, is the enemy of greatness. There's a book, right? Good is the enemy of great. So some people are okay just being good at something. They'll never be great at that thing if they're just okay being good at it. And that's something I see a bunch, and something that if you feel like you're good at certain things or good in certain areas, the question is, do you want to be great in those areas? And if so, you heard ET say it, what got you here won't get you there. If you're really good in an area, I'm proud of you for getting good at that area. But if you're not great in that area, then you got to change something to become great in that area. And so going into this with the world-class mindset of knowing that very good is bad. Like it's not what you're trying to achieve if you're trying to achieve greatness. That shifts our perspective, right? Change your thinking, change your life. It's the way it goes. So let's dive into this. It says champions know very good is bad. It says here the world class controls over 90% of the wealth in America for a simple reason. They are competing in a marketplace full of amateurs. The only group that has a fighting chance against the great ones is the upper class, which represents approximately 10% of the population. At Mental Toughness University, we classify most members of the upper class as very good performers. In order to ascend to the world class, performers must be classified as great. At the highest levels of performance, very good is considered to be bad. There are lots of performers who are very good, but great performers are rare. At the height of my tennis career, I was a very good player, but compared to the world class, I was very bad. Very good performers are no match for the great ones. The difference between a very good leader and a great leader is the respect and loyalty of his or her team. The difference between a very good doctor and a great doctor can be life or death. The difference between a very good salesperson and a great salesperson is financial freedom. For the average person to be classified as very good, is something to be proud of. For the great ones, it's an insult. Both groups have the same potential. The only difference is in their thinking. So are you thinking about greatness? Are you thinking about how you are taking your life to the place that you want it, how you're designing your ideal life, how you're serving more people? How are you embodying greatness? Or is very good okay? Is very good okay for your standard? Is good enough okay for your standard? Good is the enemy of great. Jim Collins, I think, wrote that book, Good to Great. Yeah, I think it's Jim Collins. I'm not sure, but from good to great, right? Good is the enemy of great. What got you here won't get you there. If you just are good at something, we got to get to greatness. So I would challenge all of you, right? I challenge all of us. Like, let's start thinking about greatness. Let's start thinking about how can we excel in a certain area, excel in our life. We don't want to live average. We don't want to live standard, right? Status quo. The reason you're on these calls is so that you can, right, design your ideal life. It's because there's things you want in life, there's things you want to experience, and you know that you need a little more inspiration, direction, right, in order to do that. So one of the slight changes in our thought process is, right, good is bad. We're not just going for good. We're going for great. We're going for greatness, right? There's a difference. Remember, life is a game of millimeters, game of inches. It's not far off. It used to be acceptable to say, hey, we're going to be very good at this, or we're going to get very good at this. That's good. It's not for the world class. You got to start thinking greatness. You got to start thinking greatness in many areas. You got to start thinking greatness in your health, greatness in your finances, greatness in your business, greatness in all the areas of your life. This is how you have to start to perform if you want to take your life to the next level. And so again, some of the things that we heard ET talk about, right? Again, knowing that you can, that I am statement, knowing whatever it is that you are going after, that you can achieve that you embody that already, and then working and going after it, putting yourself in a position every day to improve. Progress equals happiness. So how are you progressing? How are you better today than you were yesterday? How are you going to be better next week than you were this week? How do you bring in more income next month than you did this month? How does your health get better next month than it did this month? Like, it's constant improvement, because we have to strive for greatness, the highest, grandest expression of ourselves. We only get one life. We only get one of these, right? We only get one. So we got to make sure we're doing everything possible to live it to the fullest and just not settling, right? Not settling. So practice some of those affirmations. I talked to you about my daughter having affirmations. Maybe you should have some. If you don't have any, maybe you should write some down. Read them to yourself every day. Start to tell yourself who you are, what you're capable of. Know that if there's a version of you in the past that doesn't serve the future you, that you have to get rid of that person. Right? Your future self, your vision, where you're headed, ask yourself, who's the man or woman I have to be in order to have that thing? Who's the man or woman I have to become in order to have that life that I'm asking for? Who's the man or woman I have to become in order to become financially free? It's a mindset. It's a mindset. It's not just about the money, it's a mindset. So, challenge you to push yourself in all these areas, guys. This from Steve Siebold says the mental toughness process is not about going from good to very good. It's about going from good to great. Anyone who settles for very good is destined to spend their golden years bathed in a sea of regret, wondering why. That old saying that uh, discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons, right? Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. And so that's not what we want to do. We do not want to regret the things that we did not do, because that's typically what happens. We're not regretting the things we did do necessarily. We're regretting the things we didn't do. The fact that we didn't strive for greatness. The fact that when we are 90, when we're 85, when we don't have the energy. Because that's what happens, ladies and gentlemen. On Wednesday, I talked to you all about sense of urgency. Remember? I talked about sense of urgency and having a sense of urgency in getting to your goals and getting to where you want to go, right? Well, why do you need that sense of urgency? Because at some point, you won't have the energy to do it. At some point, you won't have the physical, emotional, mental energy to actually strive for greatness. At a certain point, that slows down. So, right now, while you have it, you've got to use it. You've got to strive for it. You've got to put yourself in a position to go for it and not have regrets down the line of what you chose not to do. You might have stayed at that job 5 years too long. Just the way it goes, right? You might have been there 3 years too long. Like you were debating it for so long, and 3 years too long, you missed a window. There was a window of opportunity where, right, you didn't have as many responsibilities, or the family was in a good spot, or some things were right, and we just kind of took that time for granted. So we got to practice these habits of how we're going to go from just being good and average to being great, right? And again, we're not going to bathe ourselves in regret, because we're going to do all the things necessary to live our lives to the fullest. This critical thinking question for today says, are you a good performer, a very good performer, or a great performer? For the correct answer, check the results you've been getting in each of the areas of your life up until this point. Your self-assessment represents the truth. Your results represent fact. So, in all the areas of your life, you're a good performer, you're very good, or you're great. If you're good, not good enough. If you're very good, it's bad. That's what it says. Greatness is what we're getting to. That's got to be your standard if you want to live a life that other people don't live. Because that's what most of us ask for. I always try to put this back in perspective. Most of us are asking for a life that we actually don't personally know people that live that life. I have this conversation with a lot of us as we dream sell, as we start thinking about our finances, we start thinking about financial freedom. And I always ask the question, right? Hey, 10 years from now, where you want to be? What's life look like? Where you at? And a lot of people have really grandiose things that they want, big dreams. And I always ask, hey, do you know anyone personally? Like, do you have a friend, like a companion, like a colleague, like a mentor, like anyone that you know that you spend time with that lives that life that you're asking for? 99% of the time, the answer is no. 99% of the time, the answer is like, I don't know that person. Great. So you got to become it. That means you can't follow anyone's blueprint. That means you can't take information and advice from all the people that are telling you things if they're not living the life that you say you want. Because you take in their information, you're going to get the life they have. So you have to then start seeking information from the people and from the right environments that are conducive to getting you to where you want to go. You got to start reading better things, listening to better things, getting around better people. This is how we get to greatness, y'all. So if you're only a good performer or a very good performer, start reading some things around greatness. Start getting around some people that strive for greatness, right? Start getting around the conversations of greatness, not the language of average, not the language of mediocrity, not the language of status quo, not the language of right 5 days on, 2 days off. This is the language of average. This is the language. That's not our language, right? We are growing. We are pushing. We are continuing to excel. Progress equals happiness. You might have to get around some good people this week in order to start to see some of those things. That's right, Dana. We're going to see each other real soon. Fired up about it. I love you guys. I love y'all. I want y'all to win. You deserve to win, all of you, each and every one of you that jump on this call. I'm super grateful for you, and I'm appreciative of the support of this. But most importantly, I'm glad that you guys are taking in these messages and the information and hopefully applying it to your life so your life changes, so your thinking changes, right? So you're getting better outcomes. Hopefully this is feeding you in a way, and hopefully you can feed others in the same way by the information that you're getting. Hopefully it's keeping you more aware of the things that you have to improve on, the things that maybe you got to change some of the stinking thinking, right? We all got some areas of some stinking thinking, right? It's just like not the right way to think about things. And we gotta figure out how to make that better so we can get to the life that we want. Okay. Because it's too crowded down here at the bottom, Dana. Time to get to the top of this thing. That's right. Love you guys. Enjoy your Friday. Happy belated 4th. We'll be back on Monday. We'll have another one. I think Zamina wants to say hello. She's saying bye.
Bye bye.
Hi and bye. Goodbye, y'all. Have a good one.